I get a lot of pushback, and I'll be like, you have no idea how hard it is to be single in this era. Like, you met your wife in high school. You don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like,
his dad was a pastor and he was an atheist.
yikes.
And I was like, well, you need to change it. You're at me. You need to change your profile too.
Ruslan.
I've been married for 15 years. I've been with my
Congratulations.
wife for 19 years. Thank you.
We love that.
She's amazing. And whenever we're talking about relationships, which is, by the way, usually in response to some of the toxicity that comes out of the red pill / I call it meninism. It's like feminism, but for men. I get a lot of pushback, and I'll be like, you have no idea how hard it is to be single in this era. Like, you met your wife in high school. You don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, fair. I don't know what it's like to be single in 2023. So I wanted to bring on someone that was single.
Yes.
As an adult. You're not a college student. You're not fresh out of high school. You're an adult. You've been doing media, ministry, your own podcast. You're bilocational.
Yeah.
And so those of us that are married, help us understand, what is it like to be single? What are the challenges you guys are facing? And you're also in LA, which, side note, I have this is going to sound really bad, so just buckle up. I call them LA Christians because they're like,
Oh, LA church is different.
kind of Christian,
It's- yeah.
but like, you know, it's like a little bit of Jesus, it's better
It's
than no
fluid.
Jesus. Yeah.
It's very fluid.
So there's like another challenge on top of that is like, it'd be different than if you were like in the Midwest somewhere or like, you know.
Yeah.
So help me understand, what is it like to be single in this era? And what are some of the challenges you're facing? Because you don't, it's not like you're like, I've been called to be celibate for my whole life and never get married,
No,
right?
I'm
Like
definitely not that way.
that's not your
I'm
heart.
not called to that.
So, yeah, help me understand and unpack some of that for me.
Yeah, I think it is really hard, and I've had some bad experiences. I tried online dating.
Okay.
I had never done it.
Christian Mingle?
I've never been on Christian Mingle, but I was dating, and a guy was like, "You need to be on Christian Mingle."
Wow. Okay.
I went on a date, and he told me that it's terrible out here.
Because he didn't know you were a Christian, or
Right. No, because he was like, well, because obviously I know I'm on an app, but I'm not trying to hook up. He was like, if you ain't trying to have sex, you probably should be on Christian Mingle. It was one of those. Yeah, it's rough. Okay, so I started online dating during the pandemic. Like, actually, I worked on a TV show, and all of the single people in the staff tried Bumble.
Okay.
Which is
That's
weird.
the one where like the camera comes up to somebody random and you're just like talking to
but
them?
women get to make the first move.
Interesting.
So like, it's supposed to be safer.
Okay.
I didn't like that.
Okay.
So then I got off Bumble, and then I tried Hinge, and it was a disaster. I went on, and then mind you, like, let's also add my journey that I just shared into the mix.
Yeah, which is a lot.
Which is like, ooh,
Yep,
now we out here again. And the very first date I had was like like it was in the pandemic, but we were kind of outside again.
Okay.
And I had just gotten over COVID, which I had COVID. I had the real COVID for like a month. And so, like, I literally spent the entire date defending my faith
Wow.
and my stance
Wow.
on not having sex until I'm married. It
Wow.
was rough.
Yeah.
And I remember leaving that date. It was like a coffee date, and sitting in the Chick-fil-A parking lot crying. Like, Lord,
Sheesh.
is this all we have to look forward
On
to?
those online dating things, are they trying to connect you with someone that has your faith?
Yes,
So these
and-
are people that, so they're chameleons.
Yeah,
These are
because
folks you think are Christian, but they're not.
And he went to like a Christian college.
Yeah.
His dad was a pastor, and he was an atheist.
Yikes.
And I was like, well, you need to change it. You're at me. You need to change your profile too.
Yeah.
This is a sickness of the highest order.
I can't. And then I've like tried Facebook dating, which actually had the best results.
Interesting. Wait, you just mean like just meeting people on Facebook, or like there's a separate app?
There's a separate section.
Okay.
Facebook dating.
Wow.
And you can tell, like, if you guys have mutual friends.
Okay,
I
okay.
feel like it is the best matcher
Okay.
of all the dating apps. It
Okay.
does the best at like finding you people that make more sense for your life.
I wonder why Instagram hasn't incorporated that.
I
Because
hope-
if you're not on Facebook, but you're saying that's getting the best results because there's some overlap of network.
yeah.
I would think that they would do the same thing with Instagram.
Maybe
they
it's
need
coming.
they need the funds.
Because
You know?
people be sliding in DMs anyway.
Right,
So
right,
that
right.
would work.
So it's tough out here.
It is tough. And then I think for me, there's an added element. Like, I think I have reached a space where I'm an influencer. And so when I go places, people recognize me from preaching on Instagram.
Sure.
That used to also messed me up because I would like meet a guy and then he's like, hey, what's your Instagram? I'm like, nah. Because I would already know. I could already tell.
You don't got like a burner account?
I need to have one because it really had me out here taking L's.
Yeah.
It was like great conversation. Then it's like, oh, word. So you preach.
Yeah.
That's not pulling them these days.
In terms of why they just don't.
Well, I think that it would eliminate the ones who are not the right ones.
Sure.
Because then it would be like, well, you are preaching. You are probably really serious about this. And even though because sometimes us Christian girls, we be out here saying what we won't do, but we will do it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we got a standard until like he was really fine and I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
Darkness.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I feel like that has been an added element.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I'm in my early 30s and I feel like I'm meeting 26, 27, 28-year-olds who are ready to get married.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm meeting 30, 31-year-olds who's like, I'm not looking for anything serious.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like the 35 they are kind of serious.
Okay.
So, it's rough, but also like I've dated guys and God would say no. So I think my dating life is not separated from my surrender.
Sure. Yeah. You're not compartmentalizing.
Nope.
It.
It's like when he says, and I do get attitudes. I do get mad because I be like, I never asked for this life. So yeah, I think it is rough. I think it's kind of hard to find a guy who's serious. That was my story. I kind of met a guy, so I feel like I'm in a space where I'm like, where I'm kind of like, well, it was ghetto out here, but maybe it ain't so ghetto.
Okay, that's a W.
It is a W.
Okay, so have you encountered any guys that are influenced by some of this red pill, Andrew Tate, Fresh and Fit, Kevin Samuels stuff? You haven't? Okay, well, good for you.
But I know they exist.
They definitely exist.
I see them on the internet all the time.
Oh yeah. I'm curious how much of those are like real guys versus how much of those are like personalities or just online. Like they're like, and they exist in hypothetical places, but they don't actually go outside and like try to meet women. I'm always curious on that because I think it's more so with the younger kids, like high school and under, seem really influenced by that stuff. But I'm curious, and I would wonder if LA maybe kind of skews the other way, where they're not as influenced by some of that stuff online. You know what I mean? I'd be curious on that.
Hey, you want to see something kind of crazy? Over 75% of the people that watch this channel are not subscribed. Please consider subscribing and turning your bell notification on so that you don't miss anything we have going here.
What we prescribe here, and I use prescription very intentionally, and I want to know if you think it's helpful, is I encourage men while they're single to work on becoming the priest, provider, and protector of their home. Develop your capability to provide, develop your capability to protect, be capable, be fit, and also be a priest. Be able to be the head, the pastor, the shepherd, be in tune and whole as emotionally as a man, right? So that you know when to be vulnerable and when not to be vulnerable. That your girlfriend is not your therapist. Don't be on the phone until 3 a.m. throwing up on her stuff that you should have said in therapy, right? And so this is kind of like what is a godly man is someone that is at least cognizant of the fact. Maybe they're not all the way there. There's a lot of guys that are watching this. They're in their 20s. They're in their, they're in college. They're not going to be the provider type yet. But they understand that, hey, eventually I need to become this. I need to figure this out. I need to develop useful skills that the market deems valuable so I can be an asset to my people, to my community. I may not be in physical shape, in competent shape yet, but I'm working on it. I'm going to the gym. I'm working on my physique. I'm working on the ability to protect, right? They may not be that, but that's kind of like the North Star that I am attempting to shoot men towards. And it usually is going to be one of those three things that they're struggling with. And my logic is just, if you pursue your purpose, ultimately know Jesus and make him known, but if you also pursue developing yourself while you're single, while you got all this time in the world, then you should be working through your trauma. You should be working through your junk, your addictions. And because you're working on what is my assignment in this season. So that's kind of like the angle we're hitting it from. We're attempting to hit it from. Would you say that those sorts of prescriptions are helpful for men that, are single and coming across women?
No, for sure. 100%.
Okay.
And I think that there is this misconception that if I am independent or if I'm a strong woman, if I'm outspoken, if I'm getting it out the mud for myself, that I don't want those things.
That's good.
And I for me, that's opposite. I may be a boss at work and in the street, but I don't want to be a boss at home.
Come on.
I actually want to be feel safe with letting you do you.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that I don't know why, because I'm not waiting for a husband to accomplish things in my life, that means I don't want you to be a provider or a protector or a priest.
That's good.
I actually do want you to.
Yeah.
And I think if there are areas where you feel like you ain't got it, then I got you. But I would prefer to have a man who is secure and comfortable enough to be those things. And then when I get home, I could chill.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can say the weight's on you.
Sure. I think I said this at the event we were at. Gallup did a study recently, and I think this was around the pandemic. It was around the time where everybody went home and there was remote work, or people were laid off and they had to work from home or just take a season. And they surveyed working women with kids 18 and under. And they found out that out of working women who are married with kids 18 and under, that 56% of them would have preferred to just keep staying home and raise their kids.
I'm sure.
56%, not Christian women, not conservative women, not traditional women. 56% of women that work with kids 18 and under would have preferred to stay home. And I would love to see those numbers for women, kids 10 and under, 5 and under, 3 and under, right?
Yeah.
I would say that those numbers are probably way higher than 56%. And so I think this notion that like most women would prefer to stay home with their babies if they're given the opportunity to. A lot of the issues in marriages is because of financial fights, financial problems. Both people are working full-time jobs and you got kids. And the wife is expected to do all the chores. Yeah. She got to do everything in the house, all of it, and she got to cook and clean and provide. And so
after working at
like I don't think that's reasonable, right? And so when I tell men, hey, if you want this type of life where you have a woman that loves you and is willing to stay home and fall into these traditional gender roles, cool, be willing to provide that sort of lifestyle for her.
Sure.
Be willing to be in the top 30% of earners so that when she has babies, she could stay home. And ultimately, who said this to me? Lila Rose, Live Action. They do a huge, they're a humanitarian pro-life organization. She said women want flexibility.
For sure.
Women want flexibility. For sure. You want to speak on that in terms of your perspective?
I think that because I think who I am today is probably going to change in 6 years. And so what I want to do today, like I like to be outside. I like to travel. I like to work. I enjoy what I do. But who's to say 5 years from now, after I have a kid, if I still want to do that? And so I think the flexibility is to say that we both will evolve and we both will grow, and creating a space where I feel safe enough to do that and express that and not have to suffer in, I know I said I wanted to do this 6 years ago, but I don't want to anymore. But I don't know if you're going to be cool with me switching it up.
Yeah. I mean, they did the studies on women who are lawyers. And what ends up happening is usually women who are lawyers will marry other men who are lawyers, and so you got two people earning $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, and your life's not that different between earning $300,000 or $600,000, and so women just go, I'm not going to do this stupid 90 hours a week, work myself into the ground. This is dumb, right? And men, unfortunately, tend to be wired a little different in terms of like, I just want to work. I just want to work. This is what I want to do, right? And so a lot of women will then pull back from, and so there's droves of women in the legal field, for example, that just like, why am I going to work myself into the ground to become senior partner? This is stupid.
Yeah. And then to have to fight every day.
And so I think it's I think oftentimes in these conversations, most people are talking past each other. I think men and women are talking past each other instead of saying, no, we actually got way more in common.
Yeah, we probably saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, this is a segment from our daily after party stream. Consider partnering with us online for as little as $5 a month to get access to these daily after party streams completely unedited. You'll also get access to our podcast as they are streamed live into the community before anyone else gets to see them, get to interact with our guests, get access to our private Discord server, and a discount code for our store for as little as $5 a month. Ultimately, that will help towards helping us continue contextualizing the gospel using media and podcast here on YouTube. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.